Ms. Moskos is a dedicated and passionate education professional who considers it a privilege to be impacted by so many wonderful students and teachers throughout her career. Ms. Moskos has served in many roles in her profession as a classroom teacher, a school administrator, a district instructional leader, and all those roles have given her the varied experience necessary to work at a current position as the instruction administrator at Brookland Cayce High School. She's also the director of the I2 Tech program and the Quest Academies program. So she really didn't have much to do there on a regular basis. Well, most of her adult life, she was spent on the West Coast. Ms. Moskos was excited to come back to her native South Carolina 9 years ago. And we're lucky to have Ms. Moskos as Lexington 2 at Brookland Cayce. Now introduce Bonnie Moskos.
Well, good morning, and thank you for having me. It is a great day to be a Bearcat, I'm going to tell you. So I hope to see you at the games tonight, the only game. And we expect to be playing at Williams-Brice next weekend. So, yeah. I felt like I needed to give you a little background knowledge on I2 Tech. So the way we're organized at BC is we academized our school because we felt that there's no cookie cutter model for high school students, right? Everybody has their niche, their thing that they're good at, and so we want our kids as freshmen to make a conscious choice on where they want to go in high school, what their pathway is, and we really want to tap into their interests. If kids are bored and disengaged, they really aren't learning. They're just regurgitating information. So we have 3 academies at Brookland Cayce. I2 Tech, which is what I'm here to talk to you about today, which is a STEM-based academy. Quest is a gifted and talented academy. And then Legacy, which is more of a liberal studies, dabbling in AP, honors. There's a college, a CP pathway. Those kids are athletes. They major in fine arts. So we try and really tap into anything that a kid may want to aspire to be when they come to BC. So I was hired 4 years ago by Dr. Holland. And in my previous career, or my previous district, I had opened 4 magnet pathways, 4 magnet schools. We wrote for this huge $6.2 million grant, so we had lots of money to build some theme-based schools. And so tapping into that experience, she charged me with I2 Tech. So this is all part of an organization in our state which is made up of business leaders like you and educators called Transform SC. So 4 years ago, we were named a pilot site. And so we had the EOC at the State Department behind us. Senator Nikki Setzler did a lot of groundwork. We had the president of AT&T, Ms. Lackey. We had Total Comfort Solutions with Jim Reynolds. So we had this army of people behind us to help us with our vision. Okay, so that just gives you a little bit of where we came from. It was some big, heavy hitters at the table. So we had, we were charged with a pretty big task. So as we took a year to come up with the design. We went all over the country and visited schools to figure out what we wanted our design to look like. And we applied to be a new tech school. What is a new tech school? New Tech is a nonprofit organization of about 300 schools, both nationally and internationally. And they teach us the pedagogy of project-based learning. So that is not just creating a science board or a science fair project, but true projects. It's what you want your employees to be able to do when they come into your companies. And so that's how we teach. It's hard. It's hard work for our teachers. We call them facilitators because they facilitate learning. And so it's a pedagogy that takes time to learn. It's not, you don't learn that in teacher induction programs in college. And so we took a year to learn how to teach this way. And in doing so, our team, and it is definitely a team effort, this is not the Moskos show, it is a team effort. We decided, what is it that we want? What is our why? Why are we doing this? Why are we working so hard? And this is what we came up with. Simple, but so true and impactful. We believe in an innovative environment that transforms our learners. We call our students learners because that's what they are. They're on this pathway of learning. So this is what we live by, transformational. Because that's what education is. We have kids who are digital natives who can access anything they want to know in 2 seconds through Google, which is a double-edged sword if you're a teacher, because they find things that are wrong in what you say. So with that, we decided to go backwards. What do we want the ideal graduate from I2 Tech to look like? The role, I didn't really tell you, Transform SC, the reason that businesses and educators and our state superintendent, why they came together is because businesses couldn't find people to hire. We weren't producing employable citizens, okay? We could get the content across, but there was this whole other subset of skills that our kids were completely missing the point. They didn't know how to talk to people. They didn't know how to demonstrate responsibility and accountability by coming to work on time. They didn't know how to dispute or disagree respectfully. And these are all skill sets that, if you come into a business and you can't do these things, you're not going to make it. You have to be able to work together, work as a team. And so we thought, okay, let's start with the end in mind and then go backwards on how each year from freshman year all the way through 12th grade will look in our academy. So this is what we still use. It was crafted 4 years ago, and this is what we live by. The ideal graduate will be proactive in asking questions and seeking answers. Sounds very simple, but it's not. Both collaboratively and independent, and communicate effectively. These are all big skill sets for a freshman coming into, from middle school. And we look very different, and I'll show you that in a moment. In addition to opening I2 Tech, PBL has been so successful for us, project-based learning has been so successful for us that we hired our new tech instructional coach to work with our other 2 academies so they can learn how to deliver PBL. Our test scores have improved dramatically. We outscore the rest of the campus on all of our end of course exams. And we're not really, we're not preparing them as far as test prep any different. It's that we're teaching our kids to think deeply. And that's something different because we tend to hit, in a traditional classroom, surface level knowledge. And so they can't think critically, or they can't think outside of the box, or they can't apply content. And it's all about applying content. Last time I checked, my husband's an engineer. He doesn't have to take a calculus exam when he goes to work, right? He has to know what to do with the math to design a bridge. Very different. And so we weren't teaching our kids to apply skills. And so that's what we're about. Everything, or most of our learning, is done in a group setting. Okay? So if you have to complete a huge task that lasts over 6 weeks, and you have to work with this same group of people that you didn't select, they're not your friends, there's a lot of stuff that has to happen between the rollout of a project and the final end product, correct? So our students actually craft group contracts. We have Drew, who is Joel's son. He's a junior now in I2 Tech. With those junior kids, honestly, a court of law could not dispute their group contract. I'm telling you that you can fire someone from your group. You have to go through mediation. And it is so rock solid that you better do what you say you're going to do in there, or you're getting fired. And when you get fired, you're accountable for the entire project. So that is really not good. You get fired once in the course of I2 Tech, and you will never get fired again because it's awful. So just to show you kind of the attributes and skills that we focus our students in learning and understanding and implementing, they have to be motivated from within. We don't give external rewards, okay? We want them to feel good about what they've done because it's good work. We believe in a growth mindset. They need to be confident in academic and social settings, meaning they have to stand up in front of groups of people. We bring in community experts, and I'm going to be tapping into some of you in your fields. When we launch projects that are relative to whatever you do in industry, we like to have experts come in with a real problem so that it's authentic learning. If we've had the City of Columbia in, we've had DNR in, we've had senators in, we've had AT&T in to launch projects so that kids have something they're really solving for. Automatic buy-in right there because they're making a difference in something. Of course they have to write and they have to be able to speak. You can't make it in this role without being able to write well and to speak well. Problem solving, they need to think about, we don't give them solutions. They have to research and figure it out, okay? You don't tell your employees every day, this is what I want you to do, and this is exactly how I want you to do it. You give them a task and you expect them to execute and come back with a product. And that's what we do here. Organizational skills and time management. We have hard deadlines, okay? I think Joel can attest to this. When there's projects due, I had another mom say she had her iPad up, that she was FaceTiming one group member, she had her laptop up where they were blogging back and forth, and because they understand it's a hard deadline. Okay, late's not an option here. And then they have to be civically minded. So we do a lot with thinking about our community and what we can do to support our community. How do we measure our success? We have 5 learning outcomes: oral communication, written communication, collaboration, knowledge and thinking. That's our standards, our content. We still teach the state standards. It just looks a little different. And something called agency. And agency is the big thing that would affect how our students will behave once they're out of school. And that is learning from setbacks, accepting feedback and growing from it and using it, looking inward on what went really well and what didn't go so well in my project, negotiating within your group, okay? Being able to discuss differences but come to resolution. That's a skill set that was the biggest skill set, actually, that our Transform SC committee said is missing from our graduates. So how do we get better at what we do? Well, you have provided some wonderful field experiences, field studies for us. We went to Boeing, we went to Nephron, we're working on, or you're working on, Amazon for us. And these are the experiences where kids can actually see, oh my gosh, I can apply my knowledge here. At Nephron, they couldn't believe that those people had engineering degrees, packaging engineering. They never knew it existed. So it's exposing our kids to other things that they never thought of before. We went to Boeing. The project manager that helped us at Boeing and organized our children, she said, how old are these kids? I said, 14. They were freshmen at the time. She goes, I have adults that come in and can't execute this project like your kids. I said, but this is all they know. So they had to come in, they had a scenario, they had to solve the problem, they had to get the right people at the table, they had to execute their plane, and they did it seamlessly. I mean, it was really, that was my first kind of aha moment, wow, this really works. And so those types of opportunities, now as we move into to senior year, next year, we want our kids to have internships. We've practiced all of these skills for 3 years, and we want them to go out and have an internship experience. And so that's what we're going to be seeking. We're also going to offer a kind of PBL 101 class for them on how to create your resume, how to sell yourself on an interview, how to dress correctly, do some mock interviews so that when they start interviewing for internships, they're prepared. And so those are areas that we will tap into our business community to see if they can help us place kids, you know, for a few weeks, for a semester. It's free labor, and honestly, they're some of the smartest kids I've ever seen. All of our kids take engineering for 4 years. So when they leave, they'll have 2 college engineering credits through the Project Lead the Way program. We also have some kids that branch off and go into the health sciences because they're leaning more towards the medical field. So We are focused in STEM, but there's lots of areas of STEM. How do we prepare our kids? Let me tell you, freshman year, that first semester is hard work because those kids they have no idea what they're signing up for. Our classrooms don't look traditional at all. We don't have ceilings. It's just walls. You can hear over them. There's glass everywhere. There's no desks. There's tables. They're allowed to move in the space. They're allowed to walk out of the room and give a basically an 8th grader in August that autonomy, and they don't know what to do with it. So we really do have to train them up. So we bring them in August for a couple of days for a rookie camp before school starts, so they can kind of see what the environment looks like, get all that craziness out of the way. We do team building. We use a learning platform called Echo. I didn't mention we're one-to-one laptop. They get brand new as freshmen Dell Latitude laptops that runs the engineering software, and they're assigned that for the duration of their time in the program. In addition, our district is one-to-one iPad, so they also have an iPad. So they are technology heavy. But these are just some pictures, and the cool thing is our older kids love to come in and help with rookie camp. So it's almost like you're building these mentor-mentee kind of relationships. And this is what we look like. It doesn't look very traditional, does it? This picture over here on the far right, that's a group of lawyers. We ran a mock trial. We have a humanities class that's taught by 2 teachers. They get credit for AP Psychology and English for honors, so it's blended. So they did a mock trial with Oedipus, and they used all of the psychological theorists as their key witness, and we had a group of lawyers that came in and actually judged their mock trial and decided who won. So it's authentic. As a matter of fact, one of I think McWater, the guy over there in the corner, that in the close, the defense attorney, when he was closing, he was like, you know what, kid, I'm using that in my next trial. It was so rock solid, this 16-year-old. We also have, we talked about civically minded. This was a Lexington County agency that came in to talk to them about possibly adopting their agency in some community service work, and that's a group of freshmen there. That's a classroom, actually. They have a stage and a mic, so when they do their presentations or present projects, they're literally on stage. In engineering, and then you see kids all over the place, and that's what it looks like at any given moment, at any given day. We had a big bus tour with Transform SC. We had students on a panel, and it was just a straight Q&A. Kids, I don't prepare them for that because at this point they should know how to be able to speak to adults and answer questions. And so, and they really did a great job with that. There were some pretty high profile people, our state superintendent, presidents of companies, and I couldn't have been prouder. The last thing I want to say is we still are BC. We're all at football games together, we're all at basketball games together. Our kids are in the band, they take art classes, they sing in the honors choir, which just got back from Disney. We're all BC, but we're unique in how we learn. And so I guess lastly, before I tell you just about this one document in our state, is I just want to thank you for your support. I can't even explain how grateful we are that you're able to give our kids the field experiences and see what really happens, why we're doing this, and make those connections. Without those connections, it almost feels a little pointless to them. But if you could see the light bulbs coming on and the excitement when you send us on these trips, it's just a beautiful thing. And I know Joel shared pictures and so forth. There were some articles in the newspapers, and it's a really cool thing. The last thing, our state has adopted the profile of the South Carolina graduate, and this was developed by our superintendent, district superintendents. Actually, in my last district, I was on the visioning committee for this, and we're talking about world-class knowledge, which is the standards, which are the expectation that our kids are going to leave with academic proficiency. But there's so much more. World-class skills, being creative, being critical thinkers, being problem solvers, being collaborators, right? Being on time to work, being responsible. Those are all that's the skill set that you want to see, right? You can teach someone the job, but you can't teach that set of skills, in a minute. That's something that becomes, part of your work ethic. And that's about our work at I2 Tech, is we're really trying to build a work ethic in our students. And yes, we want them to go to college. And yes, we want them to have great jobs and careers. But we feel like this is a recipe for success at whatever they choose. Whether they go to college, whether they go into the military, or whether they go straight into the workforce, we feel like that we have empowered them with a skill set that is unique to a South Carolina graduate. So thank you. Yes?
You were very nice to thank our organization for taking children to the different facilities, and you talked about some of the things that y'all teach. One of the challenges of organizations like Rotary is I don't feel like the young people realize that they need to participate and give back. And I hope that's fallen in with what you're talking about, because it's a challenge finding younger people that actually get it. And I mean, there's some of us that are a little grayer than others, but we realize that you have to give something back to the community.
Yeah, actually the speaker that I was pointing out, she's from LICS, which is a Lexington County agency that, and so they're going to do a food drive. So the freshman class is adopting that agency to be able to help and do some service learning, as in regards to that. And I'm going to tell you, let me say one more thing. Our population, we have an at-risk population at BC. We have some, we're at both ends of the curve. But we're about 60% free and reduced lunch. And so we have some kids, just in I2 Tech this year, we had to help a family who was homeless get shelter. So we have kids who really have the cards stacked against them. And so we're really trying to empower them. And so that child comes to mind because I was sitting in this presentation when she was here, that he was so excited to be able to do something. So I hope that we're, civic mindedness is one of our goals.
So this program, and setting these modules up with the Quest and the I2 Tech, you said it's in the third year or fourth year of kind of having it set up?
We had our first graduating class in Quest last year.
Okay.
We'll have our first graduating class in I2 Tech next year.
Okay.
And Legacy will be the year after,
Okay.
since we've academized.
Has it been, how has it been received just generally with the parent population? Have they been real supportive? Or?
It was a challenge at first. We had to really recruit. Now I have to shut down. I have 100 seats each year, and that's just based on space and technology. We have no entrance criteria, so you can be a CP level student, you could be an honors level student. We've had a couple of non-English speakers who now Charles is a junior, and his English is perfect, and he's an excellent student. So the only academy we have that you do have to qualify for is our Gifted and Talented Academy, and that is because it's heavy AP, so we want to set our kids up for success with that one. In 8th grade, we have a recruitment fair. We bus all of the 8th grade students over to BC, and we have students from each academy talk. We show them film clips. We let them tour to get a flavor of it, of what each academy looks like. Then we have a parent night where we bring the parents in. And then we have something called IGP meetings at the 8th grade level. So we've already met with the counselors and the principals and given them the information to share with the kids. So they'll select and apply for the academy of their choice.
Would some kids be kind of between one or the other? I guess or kind of a blend, I guess gifted and whatever in the tech, or not?
No, we offer now starting, so this year our 11th grade students, so we offer I2 Tech classes all on honors level,
Okay.
regardless of what your level is, and we may level you out based on your academic if you struggle or you soar. But we feel because the work is so different and it's hard work, that we will award an honors credit because it is such hard work. Funny enough, we have many kids that really step up to the plate. Sometimes, and I hate to admit this in education, we teach to where we think a child can achieve versus raising the bar. And so we raise our bar.
Is this the only, like in, well, I guess you can only speak with maybe Lexington too, but, does airport have a similar program, or is it just BC?
It's just BC. We have New Tech schools. We have Cougar New Tech in Colleton County. Greenville has 3 New Tech schools. Clarendon County has a New Tech school, and I believe Charleston opened a New Tech school, and Myrtle Beach has a New Tech school. So we actually at BC just hosted a state convening, where we all come and learn together. And New Tech, flies in a trainer, and it's a great time for us to collaborate. I was in Greenville earlier, it was in November, and all the directors from across the country come together and we learn together. So it's a continual professional learning environment for the facilitators and for the director. We go to an annual conference for a week every year where we're together with the whole national and international staff, and so there's a lot that goes into this. It's a very, when I first started, I thought, we can do that without New Tech, and really we can't. They have a very good model. It's the best transformational model that I've ever seen in my career, and trust me, I'm old, so we've done a lot. That's okay.
No, you go ahead. No, I was just gonna say I'll offer my little testimony, because I think I maybe taught you quickly on the Boeing trip or whatever.
Yes.
Because my son's 11 years out at BC, and he's an engineer, and he's making 6 figures now, but he had to go through his senior year. He went to USC engineering school because there were no courses in high school, and he basically did project learning by going to USC and saying, is there something I can do? Because he didn't have any courses in high school.
Right.
And they kind of said, well, maybe you can go find something, and we'll give you, a couple hours free in the afternoon to go find something. And project learning is how he
Exactly.
succeeded.
Exactly.
And so, an odyssey of the mind, I think, were
Yes.
those types of things that were kind of offered tangentially, but school systems didn't have any project learning at the time. So
It's a great story.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So first, thank you for coming in today. I think you've really shown what a model program can look like, and I congratulate you on that. I have a couple of questions. We recently, I work for HP,
Oh, okay.
and we're doing a lot of work with the Computer Science Task Force under the EOC, and so I'm very motivated by what I'm seeing here, and I see different schools across the state that are so different in the fact that they don't know what to do with technology, and so they struggle with it. My question to you is I've got 2 of them, and I'll make them quick, but we met with Commerce the other day with workforce development, and one of the things that they're struggling with is, you mentioned you've got the 3 academies and you've got 100 seats in each. Where are the students that don't fit into those, or there's no seats left? Where are those outlier students going?
We never not have seats somewhere for a kid.
Okay.
And we do everything we can to try and place the student. And if a student, they're not a lifer anywhere. We want our kids to be happy. So if a kid comes into I2 Tech and they're like, this is just not for me, I can't do it, then if it's early enough in the semester, I'll change their schedule and get them where they, want to be. If it's too late, then the next year they'll roll into whatever academy fits,
So do you
their
have
learning
students that
style.
aren't in an academy at all?
Everybody's academized.
Okay, perfect.
Every student's
Basically, I think what she's asking is, legacy is everybody who's not in the other 2.
is not in the other. So some kids,
Legacy is
but
basically-
legacy though has its own learning goals. We are in communities. The one thing that we learned from academizing is it's really about the relationship. The kids know, the teachers know the kids, not just in a classroom or in a seat, but they know the kids. So in legacy, particularly freshman and sophomore year, we try and schedule them with the 4 core teachers the same, so that those teachers will really know those kids. We double block in legacy a class called Strategies for Success with their first block core class. So we're teaching those freshmen study skills, how to live a high school life, how to keep up, Cornell notes, just things that you need to know to survive in high school. Also, that gives us a time for intervention with kids that are struggling or kids that need to be to have enrichment because they're high. So it helps us to individualize instruction for them.
The reason why I ask is because one nugget of information I got out of Commerce that I've never heard before in all my meetings is that there's actually manufacturers here in South Carolina that have decided that they're going after those kids, the kids that have no plan, the kids that don't have any real direction, because they're finding a lot of times they're able to get those kids and get them in internships and train them and teach them for the skills that they need better than they can get a kid that's come out of college that's had a plan and has a lot of expectations. And so I thought it was a really unique idea for some manufacturers to start doing that and kind of reaching out to the kids that really no one is focused on, or they don't have a plan, or they're kind of, just not sure, and really getting them early and getting them to I thought it was
It is a beautiful idea, which is why we want to get some internship opportunities for our students, because that may be the pathway of some of our kids. And it may be the pathway, it may be a forced pathway for some of our kids, just due to, family struggles, economic struggles. And so our goal is, because they're all my kids, and so our goal is to make sure that every single kid that walks out of our door with a BC diploma is ready for whatever the next thing is that's post-secondary. And I felt like we weren't doing a very good job at that because we were using a cookie cutter model, and they're individuals, they're unique. And so everyone has their own learning style. Everyone has a personality with, the kind of instruction that fits them. And so, the students are our clients, and I say this to our staff all the time, they're our clients, and without them, we would be unemployed.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Is there a connection to Richland Northeast's STEM program that I know Ingenuity SC is working with them on some individual projects? Are they not tied into the system? Are they trying to do something different? Or?
They're not a part of us, so they're. I am familiar with their program, but we're under. We pay our district, fortunately, pay some pretty heavy network fees to New Tech, and that is for we have our own learning management system. It's called Echo. It's like this blackboard on steroids. All of our projects are loaded on there. Our students can blog through there, communicate through there. So we're kind of our own unique. We look very much like Cougar New Tech and Colleton. Those would be more like sister schools to us.
Okay.
Quick comment and a question. My question was scores, percentage-wise for I2 Tech versus the other academies. And then a quick comment. Ms. Moskos mentioned the project-based learning. The difference between freshman year and junior year is totally different kids. Freshman year, every week it was, oh my God, it's 11:59 on a Friday night, and the kids are all texting back and forth because their project's due at midnight. Now it's Tuesday, and you're like, okay, what's your project for this week? And they're like, oh, we're done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
totally different in
It's
how
a
they
mindset
handle
change.
everything.
Right.
So
And I don't because I do the academics for BC. So I will say we prepare our kids the same as far as, we put a real focus on, we have a dedicated, starting second semester, dedicated, high stakes test prep, because unfortunately I'm not a huge believer in high stakes tests, but that's what we have to do as a public school system. And so we want to show well, of course, and we want our kids to demonstrate the knowledge they have. So we do 2 45-minute blocks a week based on whatever intervention a student may need. So that's, 9th through 12th grade. And we'll do the same in I2 Tech. The way they prepare is a little differently because they dig so deep into content, it's much easier for our kids to apply the knowledge because they've been so hands-on and they've had to use the knowledge to solve something. So it's almost like they don't realize how much knowledge they possess. So when the test rolls out, they're like, oh my God, this is so easy. So I'll tell you, last year our EOC in biology, which was all freshmen, all 9th grade, was 91%. That was about, I think, 12 points, 13 points above the state mean. Our EOC was 90% for U.S. history, and that was about 30 points above, 20 points above the state average. Algebra, that was a new exam, so we were right in line with the state average at about 77%. And English, we were above, and we were about 75%. So we fared quite well down there. And so, which is why we're trying to implement the pedagogy across our campus, because it's just a good way to learn. Thank you all so much for having me.